Welcome to GHOSTWATCH2016. We're watching Kamen Rider Ghost. My name is Coriander Dickinson. I've seen some Kamen Rider.
My name is Heather Deary. I've also seen some Kamen Rider.
My name is Kate Stark. I've now seen some Kamen Rider, but I hadn't previous to this.
Like just previous to this day.
This is the first episode of Kamen Rider Ghost I've ever seen.
Oh.
All the other recordings, I've just made it up.
Yeah, she wasn't actually in the room watching with us.
No, I told you I was watching the episodes, but I was just really riffing on you guys.
Oh.
And that one time she was here.
She was like totally facing the other direction. That would explain a lot.
Yeah. Last time, Spectrum done got dead.
And by dead we mean away. Like no longer a Spectrum anymore.
We can't use Spectrum anymore as a name. He will never come back like that.
There was a lot of punching.
Punch, 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 punch.
And Paint Gnome got knocked down.
And got up again.
But he got up again.
For friendship.
We're never going to keep him down.
Not with friendship around.
This week,
Episode 21.
Astonishing the Gnome Hell.
Okay, the real title is The Gonma World, but you know.
You know what it's really.
You know.
I would like to point out that last episode there was 69 days left.
And this episode,
There's still 69 days left.
Nice.
Yeah. I don't think the counter goes down anymore once you hit 69.
It's just stuck there?
I mean, it's a good number, Corey. Why would you move?
Arguably the best number.
At least of the 2-digit variety.
I like 7.
That's
of
a
the-
1-digit variety.
Of the 3-digit number variety, it's 420.
Yes. Out of the double-digit variety, 69 is the best number. We all agree.
What about 14?
14's not a real
No.
number, Corey.
What?
No, it's one of those imaginary numbers you learn
What?
in math.
Yeah.
That I learned in math? The imaginary numbers that I learned in math?
Yeah.
Well, or art class. Whatever you use your imagination for.
Okay, fine. Now my favorite number is E.
Yeah. Good
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah,
But that's
again,
a single digit number.
Single digit.
No.
You didn't pay
Fine.
attention to math class,
Fine.
did you?
No, she's
No.
right. She's right. It's a 4-digit number.
Still doesn't mean it's double digits.
No, it's not double digit, but it's not a single digit.
69 is the best number.
Ever.
Nice.
Yeah.
So Makoto's body is in Gnome Hell, and if they toss it in the trash, he disappears forever.
He really? Okay, so he hasn't seemed concerned about this at all.
When he first showed up and he's fighting for Gnome Hell, sure. Why would they throw out his body? He kind of stopped fighting for Gnome Hell. He kind of stopped being friends with the guy who, I don't know, might want to trash his body now.
Like, I think you guys might be forgetting that there was a tiny upset to his plans for dealing with his problems on his own, where he got possessed for many, many episodes.
Sure, but he wasn't
he-
possessed at the beginning.
He was angry, remember, and he was going to deal with his problems himself.
Ooh, where's the siren? Ooh.
Fine, now I'm going to keep that in.
Can we also talk about this new location we've gotten? This weird long dirt road of wheat fields?
It looked like the beginning of a country music video. And you're going to see like...
Lonely Road.
Yeah, we're going to see like a truck drive down it with like a dog in the back of the truck, and he's talking about his wife just left him and stuff.
Yeah, they do have farms, and they do, I believe, like country music in Japan.
But there's no water in sight. There's no bridges.
Oh, what is
There's
Spectre
no
doing
there's
there?
no
Is that what
like
you're asking?
tall building thing. It's just a long dirt road in the middle of a field.
I think we're just spoiled, to be honest.
Maybe this is around the temple. Maybe this is like one of the sides of the temple we haven't seen.
So on one side of the temple is a graveyard. On one side is a lonely field with a dirt road, and on the other side is a mountain cliff.
Yep, rock quarry.
It
And
sounds lovely.
What's on side 4?
The door. The way they get in and out that we've seen all the
Fair.
time.
We can be in hell now.
We're definitely in hell now. Actually, we do need to mention that Spectre plans to go to Gnome Hell to get his body back, and Taka wants to go with him, and he's like, no, you can't.
I don't think we did.
So Spectre's body is in gnome hell, and he's gonna go deal with it. And Taco's all like, "I'm gonna go with you," and Spectre's all like, "No."
I mean, there is that part at the beginning where Taco Time's like, wait, what? Your body's just what? And Spectre's like, it's just the way it is. It's fine. I don't know why you're so scared.
So now we're in gnome hell.
Gramps is there. Gramps is talking to Pretty Boy about a greater power, a higher power.
Oh, Pretty Boy's not down there, is he?
No, he is, because Edith's like,
Oh.
I see your back, pretty boy.
Oh.
You missed him because he was so pretty. Just couldn't look at him. And then there is somebody named Adonis.
That's Best Dad.
That's
We found out
Best
Best
Dad.
Dad's name.
His name is Adonis.
We're not going to call him Adonis, are
Can we call him Ripped Dad then?
Yeah.
Ripped
so
Dad.
Ripped Dad's real name is Adonis, but Gramps is talking to him, and then Adonis is talking about reaffirming his beliefs.
His beliefs being that he's going to create a perfect world and bring about some sort of utopia, and that I think Gnome Hell is already a perfect world, but he wants human world to be perfect as well.
Yeah, Gnome Hell has no anger, no hatred, no death.
No wars.
So, yeah, no wars. Those
Humans are dumb and they keep fighting each other. They should be perfect like us.
What he doesn't understand, what Ripped Dad does not understand, because I'm sure he's not good with computers.
Should we call him Thick Dad?
What Thick Dad doesn't understand, because he's not good with computers, is that in Gnome Hell, there is no Facebook and Twitter and like all these weird social media sites. And I think his real plot is just to come to human world and take away social media, because that somehow equals utopia. And I think it's just because he doesn't understand computers. Akari will teach him.
The entire time Hodor was talking, Corey and I were just silently laughing about Thick Dad.
Yes, and I was ignoring you so I could get through what I had to say.
I think we should have like interceded on the behalf of the listener. Just be like, "I'm sorry, listener. Hodor's talking some nonsense right now."
I don't
What?
even know what you
What is-
said.
What does social media have to do
Look,
with what
okay.
Thick Dad's
I
plan
told
is?
you. Thick Dad does not understand computers.
Yes.
And Facebook is a very bad
Yeah, but
place
that's the-
that makes
he-
everyone fight.
he
But
just
he's
outright said what his plan was.
yes, and I think his plan is to get rid of social media in the human world, because in Hell they don't have it, and that is why it's a utopia. He's getting rid of Facebook. It's what we've all wanted. We should let them.
So is it thick with a CK or two C's?
Obviously 2 C's and spaces in between every letter.
I like memes.
We are back in the boardroom of the business building.
Deep Connect?
Yeah, I think that
Deep
was the name of the
Corporation.
business. Deep Corporation.
Deep corporation.
And we're
It's
in-
deep.
It's hella deep. We're in the boardroom, and President Dude is talking to his people about the Demia project.
Not
again.
his underlings. These are probably his overlings.
Yeah, like his fellow CEOs.
Yeah.
People who are running probably other corporations for him.
And Steampunk Man is there.
Invisible because he's a ghost.
And a new gnome
A
is there
Good
as well.
gnome.
A very good gnome.
I like this gnome. Its coloring is great.
Jacket on this gnome was top notch. Do we describe gnome jacket now?
We got a really good view of it.
We did.
Yeah. So, like, it's complicated, but it's, like, very well balanced. It's a mostly white and kind of silver and with a blue base. Like a really deep blue
yeah,
base.
like the sleeves are blue.
Yeah. So it's got like a crown with big swishy hair things coming out the top. And then there's the normal gnome face. And then it's got like armored shoulders that have like kind of like a Greek statuesque face on them.
And accents of gold all over this
Yeah.
thing.
A sword.
It's got a really cool sword, which I think looks a lot like Bird Boy's sword. But maybe they
This-
reused the prop, but I'm not sure.
It very much looked like Grecian Romanesque.
Yeah, this,
armor.
This gnome is a knight. We find that out a little later. Also, I want to mention this now because we'll forget, but later when we get to a back view of that jacket, there is a shoulder face on the back.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Same
Oh yeah.
shoulder face.
And there's like a cape, like an asymmetric cape on one side, but like a streamer off the other shoulder. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Pretty
it's
sharp.
really nice looking. It's one of the nicest gnomes I think I've seen.
Yeah, it's one of the nicest gnome jackets for
and
sure.
and probably the first gnome we've seen where we haven't been like, What? How do we talk about... No.
Also, it's a lady gnome.
Yeah.
Yeah, we find that out later as well.
Lady Gnome.
So Lady Gnome was asked by Steamy Punk?
Oh, man.
Steamy Punk Man.
Yeah,
Oh,
Steamy Punk Man.
Was asked to kill Taco and Spectre.
Take their icons.
Take all of their icons.
Well,
and then
when
was
you
handed
kill someone, you loot the body.
was handed a soul orb.
Yeah, so let's back it up, because business guy, possessed business boss, is giving a presentation, and Steampunk is in the room. Did he run out of icons to just throw around and possess people? Like, why does he need their approval for whatever Demia project is?
I feel like Steamy Punk only does... Things just aren't going his way. It's more of a... I make this thing happen. Okay, it's happening the way I want it to. I'm not going to interfere. This is all fine. Oh, someone's not listening. Possession thing. I will make this work, but I'm not going to put the effort into doing that as long as things are just proceeding the way I want.
So why did he need to make himself visible to the corporate underlings previously? I'm going along with you here that they were like, oh, why do we have to listen to this guy? And then he was like, possession! But why did he need to show himself to them?
I don't think he I think he just showed up and was like, oh, okay, they're being a pain. Possession. And then this time around, he was like, maybe it's better if I just don't show myself.
It's an interesting theory.
When we were describing this gnome,
Yes.
the new gnome,
Night gnome.
meat sleeves.
Oh, right. I called them meat sleeves.
Can we not talk about meat
We should
sleeves?
talk about meat sleeves.
So it's a very puffy sleeve, like at the shoulder point, and then it cuts in really tight to the arm, and then just goes for a little while. I can't remember what they're actually called, but when
But
I
you've
was
settled on meat sleeves.
Now, why do you call it a meat sleeve? What does it resemble?
because they look like drumsticks when you draw them out.
Meat sleeves was my nickname in high school.
That's unfortunate. That's an unfortunate name.
I had an unfortunate
I don't
teenagehood.
know. Maybe
It's like
she had
sausage casing.
maybe she
The
had
child.
a T-shirt that had meat sleeves on them, like that looked like meat sleeves. You're wearing a shirt with a pug in a hamburger everywhere. I am sure
I don't
there
know
is
what
a
that
shirt.
has to do with this.
I'm
Edward.
sure
this is
that-
a perfectly fine shirt.
I'm sure there is a shirt that exists that has meat designs
when I
on the
was
sleeves.
a child, I wore a pink dress to school a couple times.
Were you forced to wear that to school?
No. You could see my fashion sense. Do you think I was forced to wear a very pink dress
Some
at
kids
some
get
point?
some kids get forced to. Just asking.
I was called Pepto-Bismol for the duration of a year.
I wore shorts to gym class because it was mandatory, and I am a palesman. I'm a very pale person, and I had very skinny legs at the time. For 2 years, I was called chicken legs.
When I was a kid, Bible camp, we
Ooh.
got to learn how to call people chicken legs in German, which
What?
was awesome, and I don't
Wait,
remember
like,
it, but
for a class or because
No.
other kids were jerks?
no, because other kids spoke like low German, but
Okay.
we'd be playing like touch football or something against each other, and then you call the other team names, but we call them like really tame names, like something about rabbits. But chicken legs was a big one.
See, mine changed because I went from having, quote, chicken legs to now having the thick legs.
I remember what banana split is still. I think it's spoldebenborscht. It's like split sausage.
Okay.
Yeah, thing. Yeah.
So
Anyways,
we're back
right.
at Snapple HQ now. Paint Gnome is in the lab with everybody. Akari wants to study him, apparently using VR of some sort. She's got like a
Well,
VR.
It's like a welding
Yeah.
goggle magnification thing.
I just think it looks like VR, but she's got that on her head, running around trying to study him. But
Running around in a very Looney Tunes way.
Taco brings up the fact that he wants to go to Gnome Hell.
Yeah. I'm kind of glad that like Paint Gnome is
Just
here.
running around loose
I
in the
don't know.
basement.
It seemed kind of like, oh, well, Gramps isn't around, but now we have Paint Gnome, and he's running around trying to, I think, paint Onari,
Yeah, he's trying to paint
Akari's
Onari's head, and
chasing
Onari.
him to study him with her VR welding helmet and her drill. It looked like a weird drill.
Yeah, it's either like a Dremel or a pneumatic device of some kind. But we cut back to Gramps talking to Ripped Thickmans.
Thick
Ripped,
dad?
ripped thick dad. Yeah, talking about reflecting. Sir, we were trying to record a podcast. Could you not be sawing metal right this second?
So Gramps and Thick Dad are talking in Thick Dad's church area.
We can
Or
assume
they-
that that's what that is.
Yeah,
It's one of the
just really
non-red
close.
places.
Yeah, it's not red. It's very dark. And there's like, remember when we were young and my wife was alive? And we're like, oh, tragic history for Thick Dad.
Wait, I thought White Lady was...
White Lady's his daughter.
That's Pretty Boy's sister.
Oh, I must have missed that while writing notes.
So Gramps and Ripped Thick Dad were talking about how they were working on a perfect world together and a perfect utopia, and they can do it again.
Yeah, Gramps wants to know what the world should look like, and Thick Dad seems very much like, I've already told you what the world will look like.
Cut back to Snapple Basement. Taco's talking about how he totally went to Gnome Hell once on a vacation, but it was an accident. Like, he just kind of fell into it.
Completely forgotten about it, but I remember how it happened now. He went through an icon. An
Yeah.
icon dumped him there after he, went
Yeah,
inside
and I thought
it.
that would be the process this time. Oh my god.
I don't know if you guys can hear this, but this is literally someone with a circular saw cutting rebar.
Yeah, we're probably going to have to talk through it.
We don't know when it's going to happen, though. I thought Taco would have to get sucked into an icon to make it over there again. Because of course he's going to make it over. There's not like a reason for him not to follow Spectre to the underworld.
And story-wise, he probably has to go.
Akari's like, let's ask Gramps. And they're all like, he hasn't been around lately. And we're all sitting here thinking like, of course not.
He hasn't been answering the phone, which means they've been using Condor phone off screen.
But we know that Gramps is in Gnome Hell.
Yeah.
Because we saw him there.
And Akari decides,
Oh, Akari, don't.
okay, well, first off, Art Gnome finally draws attention to himself again by giving Onari a cone head. And Onari pulls up like a large stocking and sticks it on his head to cover it up to protect himself from the art on his head.
Yep, that did happen.
And so Akari's all like, wow, Art Gnome needs a name.
Of
If
course
he's gonna
he
be
does.
around. And we're like, yeah, his name's Art Gnome. Akari, hands off.
Yeah, and
Just step away, lady.
but the camera's getting close on her, and she's definitely having that thinking face, and she's just like, oh, he's like abstract, so maybe QB. We'll name him
QB.
QB-chan.
QB is definitely the best name.
And I'm going to call him QB-chan now.
Sweet, sweet QB-chan.
And he gets excited because he has a name.
Yeah.
The camera's on him, and there are some bubble letters that show up to show what his name is.
Cutesy bubble name. And we just cut in close to Taco Time's pocket region.
Where Edison icon pokes his sweet little face out. Just to see what's going on. But next we're down at the water with Spectre and Cannon.
Cannon's all like, I knew I'd find you here. I'm glad you're back to normal.
But you know what? Pretty Boy seems different.
But Spectre says, no, he's not different. He just wants something different from us.
Which is, very mature outlook.
It's a pretty reasonable thing. It's to say, like, Pretty Boy hasn't really changed. He's always kind of been this way. We just were going along with everything he wanted, so he didn't act like this towards us.
Now Pretty Boy is in Gnome Hell. Lots of cuts back and forth
A lot of
between
flashbacks.
real place and Gnome place. Talking about how we're going to fight for the sake of utopia. Blah, blah, blah. Back in Snapple HQ.
Akari's got a stethoscope, and she's creeping up on QB.
Yeah,
He's,
that
like,
was
finally
really
trapped
creepy.
him in a corner. And as a reflex, he summons a Gnome Hell gate, which is one of those evil eye things, but it's small.
Taco sees this as an opportunity to get to Gnome Hell, so quickly transforms and runs at the eye. Can't actually get into it, gets thrown back onto the ground.
And detransformed.
Yeah, he's very like, no, this, I don't know why that didn't work. This should work. Maybe I'll try again. But then airport and
Train.
train run in.
No, Onari gets a phone call Or no, they do.
No. Airport and train run in and talk about how there's this paranormal activity with people getting engulfed by blue flames.
And we cut to a outdoors area with a lot of people standing around, and we see Awesome Gnome, and
Night
she
Gnome?
like does a big sword slash, and then like all the dudes get blue fire and get sucked into the steampunk orb that she has.
Yeah, there was like a couple guys harassing a girl. And then we noticed that the ladies were totally fine.
Yep.
But only the dudes got taken down. So then Taco runs in and transforms. And they fight to try to get icons.
Yeah, and then Spectre runs in a little bit later. He transforms into Nobunaga.
Taco then goes to Goemon.
And they're getting their butts slightly kicked
And then Cannon runs in.
Yo, this is confusing.
because she can see them.
But in the last episode, she couldn't.
Yeah, this is... They shouldn't necessarily be visible.
Maybe she could see them last episode, but she was pretending not to.
The camera angles don't support that, though.
Maybe she was just like, oh, there's fighting over there. I'm just going to talk about taco time, even though he can probably hear me.
But because Cannon is there, Best Gnome stops fighting Taco and says, I can't do this because we're endangering women and children isn't chivalrous. We'll pick this up a different time.
So then we cut to Thick Dad praying in kind of a very cathedral-looking light show
In Gnome Hell.
in Gnome Hell, and Sweaty Boy comes in, his head bowed, and he's like, "Oh, the Demian project is going super well," and Thick Dad turns and he's super mad. He's like, "You've interrupted my prayer, and you're not supposed to be in this holy place. Get out." And I kind of have to agree. Like, he's doing his thing in this area, and I'm sure he knows the project is going well. Who gets an update report about a project doing well when
I mean, I
you've
do.
got some important stuff going on like that?
I get those updates.
Are you busy praying in Gnome Hell Cathedral?
I wish. No,
It's
I'm usually
very- it's
working
very
on my
pretty,
own
actually.
crap. I mean, it's similar. I'm working on my own crap, and then get people being like, everything's going good. Don't worry.
Okay.
So we cut to maybe Steampunk's office. I don't know. Are they in a classroom? Or is this an office? He's talking to Best Gnome.
I mean, they
Which
might be
we
in an
gotta come up
underground
with a
parking
name
lot.
for her.
I like Best Gnome.
Best Gnome's good.
Best Gnome, Great Gnome, Gnome Knight.
Base Gnome.
Night
Base Gnome.
We were trying to figure out. We were saying things like
Joan of Arc,
Joan of Arc.
Perseus,
To me, she feels very Fate Stay Night Saber.
Saber, Saber Gnome,
Saber Gnome?
Saber Gnome. Saber being the best summon.
Saber is King Arthur.
Yeah, but
But
she's the best.
she's a girl and she's pretty cool.
Yeah, she's...
She has a good band.
She also has a sword.
The voice actress has a band that I like.
Okay.
Um,
Keep going. So they're...
Right, so Steamy Punk is mad at the Knight for having not...
For having morals of any
Right,
kind.
yeah,
It's
for
just like,
basically-
you just have to kill people.
Yeah.
Don't think about it.
Yeah, Steamy Punk says that it's inefficient and it does like a weird possession thing onto Saber Gnome.
It's like purple flames, which I think reminds me of the Robin Hood episode.
Yeah.
With that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like possessing the humans. So gnomes can also be possessed by other gnomes.
Yeah, he also said it's only results that matter, which actually gave me like weird flashbacks to work related
Yeah,
things
no,
of
me
like
too.
bosses who are like
This is
real awful.
corporate gnome hell is very corporate.
Yeah, but I don't like Steamy Punk for being so corporate.
So after that, we go back to Snapple HQ, and they're all sitting around talking about Saber Gnome. What was her name?
Yeah, Saber.
Saber.
Talking about Saber and how she got away, but she was strange. So you know what? We might actually be able to sit down and reason with her.
Yeah, she's kind of like Kubi-chan.
Yeah, because they were like, well, Kubi, he's clearly okay. He's not like,
Yeah.
not all
We can
gnomes are
be-
bad.
We can be friends with more gnomes. I am kind of suspicious that this might start becoming Snapple HQ filled with gnomes.
As long as they're nice gnomes, I'm down with it.
Is there enough space in that basement for many gnomes?
I think this was my favorite, is that Akari was like performing experiments on monitoring Kubi's brainwaves.
Which she
essentially-
named.
Yeah, just had like pots and pans hooked up to him. That's
And
kind of what it
he
looks
was like
like.
sulking on the floor because he's like covered in stuff and his art board has been taken away. So he's just got like his paint palette and then like these stickers and things on him and then like a colander on his head with like moss on it. I don't know. There was like all sorts of crap.
Didn't also have like a tiny satellite dish.
Yeah.
It was science. Real science happening.
And she called them QB waves, which she had like hooked up to her little red computer.
Yeah.
It was weird.
So Spectre comes in and has a conversation with Taco Time about how they're both awesome.
That's true. He was like, you're a
Yep.
cool dude.
You're a cool dude. I'm a cool dude.
We can be cool dudes together.
We'd both be cool dudes.
We can be cool, thick dudes together.
And like he walks away and Taco follows him and he's like, you're gonna go to Gnome World, aren't you? Gnome Hell. You're gonna go to Gnome Hell, aren't you? And he's like, yeah, I'm going. And then he draws the eye and transforms into an icon. Like he was an icon all along, guys.
Whoa.
See, and I figured this would be where Taco Time would be looking at the portal and how Spectre went through, and he'd be like, oh, I need to either be in an icon or be an icon to get through this portal because that's how that works. That looks like that's how that works. Nope. I'm a cool, clueless dude.
Yep.
So we're in Gonma Hell now. We're in Gnome Hell. We're in Gnome Hell. Gnome Hell is where we are now.
And Thick Dad is standing on a really awesome eye.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Fancy.
Very ornate eye.
It's like an eye covered in eyes, but
He
it's like an inlay.
He was talking to Pretty Boy about like how his day was in like normal land, and he's like, well, the sky was blue.
He was so happy. Did you see him? He's just like, how is human world? The sky is blue. And he smiles, and it's like, yeah, you know, Gnome Hell has a lot of red. They have blue there.
And
Yep.
then Thick Dad was like, oh, but what about your friend Spectre? Huh? How about that dude? And he's like, no, we're no longer friends.
And then he's like, if you have a decision to make, listen to your heart.
Which is very...
Contradictory to everything he has ever
Yeah.
told his children.
Pretty Boy then leaves, but then we see a little glimpse of like Spectre's little icon like looking down at them.
No, it's not Spectre's icon. It's Sweaty
It's
Boys.
Sweaty Boys.
Spying on them through an icon.
Yeah,
That makes so much more sense
I also
now.
thought it might be Spectre's, and I'm like, why is
But
Spectre
they
showing
all
up
look
here?
the same. Like it's a
But-
blue icon with a little tail thing.
Yeah. But they do like a little bit of a
That's why
scene to show Sweaty
was
Boy
there.
peering through.
Oh, see, that makes way more sense.
The,
'Cause
the
I think-
jealous brother.
Yeah, he's clearly mad because he got told to leave Holy Place, whereas Pretty Boy got summoned to Holy Place to talk to Thick Dad. Thick Dad has favorite sons, and it's Pretty Boy.
we're back in the lab again.
Akari has established that if QB gets happy, that's how the QB waves happen, and that's how they can make a gate.
I got very confused at this point. I literally wrote down Snapple HQ. Someone else explain. There's so much going on in this scene.
Google how to murder a man. Or a machine. How do we murder a machine?
Okay, look, all we need is enough people to donate enough money that we can soundproof your entire apartment, Corey.
So Akari has set up in the basement, and she's got like 3 satellite dishes on tripods attached to like these flashing LED cables.
I have nothing written down for this until Edison and I got
Okay.
really confused.
So
Akari finished science.
She finished off science. Sakari no longer does no one does science anymore.
My notes say Taco in the lab. Akari finished science. Good for her. Proud of her. She did it.
So they figured out the way to make QB happy is to let him paint, and the only thing he really wants to paint is Onari's head. So Onari sacrifices his head for science and to help his friends.
And he's super not okay with it.
Super
kind
not
of-
okay with
He
it.
walks over to QB and he's like, here,
Can I
just take it.
Can I point out how this was like kind of cute at the beginning, but now it's just really creepy and stalkerish, and I don't like how obsessed with Onari that QB is. Like, QB touched his head in a loving manner and like stroked it at one point.
Yes.
And I don't like this anymore. It's very creepy.
So he does actually get happy, and it does form a gate.
This is the best, though. Because Akari is like, look, I have this amplifier. So she amplifies the gate. So the gate gets big. And then Taco transforms, and he runs into the gate, and then he does it. He gets in there.
Well, like, I like the part where he transforms, because his little orange jacket pops out and, like, touches the gate and, like, pokes it and is like, yeah, it's okay, and then gets on him.
So he runs into the gate to Ganma Hell and immediately gets thrown out.
And he's all, like, detransformed, and he turns to Akari. He's like, it's okay, Akari. I'll try again.
We'll keep trying until it works.
Yeah, the camera shifted in on him, and the music got all, we're doing this.
But then Edison flew out of Taco's pocket and then sucked him into Edison World. And has a good quote about invention being 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration.
There was also that part where Taco Time's like, are you Edison? And in English, he is, I am Edison.
Yes, I am Edison.
And then he just starts going in Japanese.
Yes, I'm Edison. Hello, this is what Edison looks like with his like little dooley boppers on his head.
Yes,
he's got two antennas on his head,
He
like
does.
Edison would have.
Like Edison would have.
I am the Edison. I let me say the quote about 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration twice. Good, that's in there.
Now let's say it a third time.
Right, the third time. Good. Now it will stick. Look into yourself for the answer. You were a good person. Goodbye. Because then he pops back out into Snapple HQ.
And he's all like, Edison told me the thing, and then gets cut off because Inari gets a phone call
gave
from
me a
airport.
hint. He gave me a hint. I figured it out, dudes.
But yeah, so Inari got the phone call from airport saying that human souls are what? They're getting sucked out of people.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
We cut to Gnome Hell, where PB is confused and talking to White Lady about how
You can't just call
Thick
people
dad.
white.
she's all dressed
They're-
in white.
They're
His
in like
sister.
a meeting room thing. They're like on there's little cube stools around a pedestal in the middle, and I'm like, did they have this room all along? Just this really awkward.
Look, they've got a lot
room.
of rooms. They're all very sized weird, and they don't use this one a lot because
It's
it's
a
small.
utopia. They can have as many rooms as they want.
And
bad rooms.
PB is talking to his sister, and he's confused by Dad's contradictory statements of looking into your heart, but Gnome Hell doesn't have individuality. And she's like, "Oh, that's cool and all. Don't worry, Dad's like that. Hey, you think that like Makoto and Cannon will? I'm really curious. You think they can come back one day and we can all be a family again? Because I miss them."
And Pretty Boy is like, no, they will never return here.
Cut to parking garage in Gnome Hell, where Spectre is, or I guess Makoto in this case, because he's not transformed, but he has a gun. He has
he has
Spectre's
his
gun.
Which is weird.
Yeah, and so he pops around a corner and shoots 3 icons out of the air.
The
As if-
security icons.
Yeah, as if they were guards. And he's just like, pop, pop, pop. And then
Like, those-
keeps going.
One of those could have been of a child or anything. They could have been like just civilian icons.
Don't matter.
They in his way.
Cut back to normal world where Saber Gnome is taking everybody's souls. But she's taking everybody's souls,
Even
including
a child.
women and children. So we know she's brainwashed.
She's Taco Time and Onari show up, and she sees them and just threatens to erase all the souls in the
Because
soul ball.
she's taken airport and train yards souls already.
Yes,
as
and
they
then
came up.
she just takes Onari's as well because they hesitate, and wants all the icons. So give me the icons, Taco Time.
So this
So
part,
this solves one of the questions we've had about how Taco stores his icons, where he keeps them on his person. Because he's got like one of those little short kimono hoodies, and he just like reaches into the side and pulls out this sack
It is
full
a
full
sack.
of icons, like with a little drawstring at the top, and he opens up and he looks in. He's like, "Yep, those are certainly all my icons, nice and safe."
In its sack.
It's
I keep
just-
in my armpit.
It's like at least I can't remember like the creepy dude.
Scary mouth man.
Yeah, Scary Mouse Man had a very nice suitcase with inlays, and I guess Taco Time never went and picked himself one up.
So Taco hands the sack.
And
of
by hand, you mean
icons.
tosses on the ground.
Tosses.
A bunch of them spill out.
His lifeblood, essentially,
Yep.
tosses this sack of icons over to Saber. I keep wanting to say Slasher for some reason, but it's
Slasher
Saber.
works too.
And Steampunk Man picks them up and takes them and goes, "We just have the 3 left that Spectre has."
Mwahaha.
But then Taco goes up and is like, "Okay, it's time to release the souls."
And
You promised.
Steamy Punk's like, "Pfeh, no.
See ya. So he leaves.
You destroyed him, and send those souls back to Gnome Hell after you're done."
So Saber stays, Steampunk Man leaves. Taco is like, "Well, okay, fine. You know what? Transforms.
Booster juice.
Boosters immediately."
They sword fight.
They have a nice roaming sword fight over this water feature with rocks on it. Which
While
is kinda
all
nice.
of
It
these-
kind of remind me of Princess Bride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
While all of these soulless bodies are just laying around them.
It was a lot nicer than Punch Punch last episode.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
so much
like
nicer.
Saber goes to do a slash, and Sunglasses Slasher pops out of the driver belt and intercepts it, and then he grabs it, and he has his sword, his awesome sword.
So then this ball full of souls that was on the chain is around Saber's neck, and Taco slashes it off and then catches it.
He slashes it off, kicks her,
He jumps into the air, and she does
essentially
her big
does an omega
slash,
kick,
and
and then the ball falls into his hand.
Yeah.
So he can be all cool.
Gnome Slasher Gnome Saber Slasher Gnome Saber Slasher Gnome gets unbrainwashed and is basically like, "Oh God, I'm so sorry. I will restore these souls for you," and then does.
yeah, Taco just hands the ball over and believes her. And
It's-
she does restore all the souls.
It's nice to know that you can kick the mind control out of someone. Really,
Maybe-
I know
please-
exactly.
okay,
how I'm gonna get mind control wiped out of people if it ever happens.
I know that's worked in every instance in this show, but maybe just don't. You don't have ghost powers, Hodor.
Let's get a T-shirt for Hodor that says, "Just kick the
Kick the-
brainwash out of you." So, Saber Slasher Gnome basically looks around and is like, "Okay, well, I've restored the souls. Let's settle this with honor next time we meet."
Which, if I had been brainwashed by my boss, I would be like, F that guy, I'm on your side now. But
Yeah.
no, she's all like, well, I still work for this dude.
I mean, I don't
See
know.
you later.
That might just be her code. Her code might be to be she's not going to trust Steamy Punk anymore, but she might still work for Thick Dad or someone in that range. So her morals might allow her to not work for Steamy Punk, but that doesn't necessarily mean that she's going to work for Taco Time. I think she will eventually.
Eventually.
I don't think she'll get along with QB-chan too well.
Maybe she'll go rogue.
Well, she's not covered in any spheres, so she's probably safe.
So, I believe at this point we are back at Snapple HQ.
Back in the basement science lab expansion area.
They were saying that the hint that Edison gave when Taco was speaking to him was to look at yourself. The aim of training is to empty the mind.
And that QB, when he's painting, is just so focused on painting that he's not thinking about anything.
Just pure, powerful intent.
Yeah, we definitely need that kind of purity.
And then he gets so happy that he was praised.
Yeah.
That the teleporter to Gnome Hell opens and is getting big.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and
then-
you know it's gonna work this time because Akari's suddenly like, "Hey, Taco Time, you better come back."
She whips off her glasses and gives him a look. She's like, "You better come back." And he's like, "I will." And then he sits down on the ground to meditate. There's flashbacks of him thinking about Spectre. He's just thinking about Spectre, really focused on Spectre. And it works.
Yeah,
he
he-
turns into glitter and goes through the portal. I wanted him to transform into an icon. Or
Yeah.
to like get a ride on Edison.
I
Something.
really wanted him to turn into an icon himself at that point, because I'm like, oh, if he can look into himself, maybe he can turn himself into an icon. That'd be really kind of neat.
Now in Gnome Hell, Thick Dad Adonis. I described this as him being inside a circle of heroes.
Oh, okay. In my note, it's Dad yelling.
Okay, so he's in the room in Gnome Hell that has like the very intricate eye on the ground, but up around him is like,
There's slabs and they're color coded and they have symbols on them.
which
but
I'm
not-
assuming is one for each hero that they took from Taco.
Yeah,
no,
probably.
that makes a lot more sense. I was looking at them as like cathedral stained glass windows, but I like, yeah, they're probably the hero icons.
Yeah, that would explain a lot. And we cut to a side room where Gramps is putting the icons they've collected on these little pedestals.
He has the best. Okay, Gramps clearly cares about the icons. He has the best icon displays out of everyone. He's got a whole museum room.
They're like plexiglass little stands with colored plexi bases and
with
then
like an eye symbol on them.
with eye symbol where the icon sits on top, but then with a small light that goes up to like uplight each icon.
Yeah,
But then in the middle of the room, there's a special pedestal.
With like a real large, chunky beige one on it.
yeah.
I was thinking it was gold.
It looks kind of gold to me.
Oh, I
mean,
saw it
it's-
just like flesh color.
It's clearly the
The color of skin.
limited edition collector's something.
Color of my skin, specifically. It's like, yeah.
All right,
it's
so
like
we
an
have the
off-white.
Corey skin colored icon. That is very special. I'm assuming it's gonna somehow react to all the other ones.
Well, it looks like an unpainted, like, kit bash.
Yeah, like it's not
Icon.
finished yet. So somebody's gonna become a heroic soul for that icon. Maybe.
I don't even think it would fit in a driver belt.
I don't think it's supposed to.
Do you think it goes on like a hat?
No,
Or
wait,
is
maybe
is it a
dude,
person?
Does Kamen Rider have giant robots? Do we get a giant robot with an icon transformation?
I mean, we've got Rocksnack.
Rocksnack's not a robot. Rocksnack's
You
a
can
snack.
pilot a Rocksnack.
Rocksnack is a snack. Snacks are not robots.
Why do they have hands on their tails?
Speaking of Rocksnacks, we get a long view of Gnome Hell, very far away from all these black skyscrapers and all the Rocksnacks, because this is where Taco Time has decided to land.
In the desert, away from the city.
Like, very far walk.
That was a fun episode.
I liked this
Yeah.
episode.
I liked this episode too.
It had the best gnome in it.
It
But-
had
but
the best gnome.
At the end of the episode, when there's like the icon count, there's just like half of the screen is just empty because Taco Time no longer has any icons.
I guess we don't count the royalty corporation family as having icons.
Because they have all of them, basically.
Also, I'm wondering why they don't count the ones that Pretty Boy has as their own. Because
That's
like
a good
Pretty Boy
point.
still has his. How long does he get to keep them? Are they going to add them to Gramps' collection, or are they going to?
I think Pretty Boy's going to come to Taco Side.
You think they're all going to be?
He might have his own, like they might be divided up by ambitions. So he might have his own idea of what he wants to do, even though right now he's clearly with the family.
How many uses do these things get? Are they like the Dragon Balls? You only get one wish.
Oh,
'Cause
spoilers.
They've already. Kate. Okay, we need to watch Dragon Ball Kai.
No.
We
No.
need to watch anime.
I mean, no.
Sure.
Wait, what?
Anime? Yeah. I don't like Dragon Ball, so I don't really want to watch anything Dragon Ball related.
But it's great.
It depends on the animus.
Fine. We should pick a different anime. Can we pick a different anime?
Can we finish this series first?
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
We have like 20 more episodes.
That's true.
In 2 years, expect to hear from us.
A question. Okay, so seriously though, if we pick another anime, like future us, way down the line, can we still just call that podcast GHOSTWATCH2016?
No.
Yeah. Oh.
Really? We have to get a
Right.
new podcast name?
Or we watch another show about ghosts.
Can we finish this episode? Or this... I mean, can we finish this episode, but can we also finish this show?
Yeah,
Yes.
no. I'm just
This
saying,
is
like,
after this show.
this is much later. This is future us.
She just wants to not rebrand.
Or Can we still at least keep 2016 in the title?
Yes.
2016
No,
season
remember-
2.
We're rolling it back. We're going to 2015.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
because
2015.
2016 can eat it.
Speaking of Ghostwatch 2016, make sure you follow us on Twitter at Ghostwatch 2016. Make sure you sub to us on YouTube at Ghostwatch 2016. Make sure you go to our website, ghostwatch2016.xyz. There's a donate button there if you like what you hear and you want to help support us to do more EPs.
And thank you for everyone that has supported us through that button already.
Yeah.
Really?
Maybe? I don't know. Corey, did we get support through that button?
We did.
Oh, wow.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
the people who have supported. We are really glad that you like the show, and we hope you continue to like the show, and we're going to make more EPs.
Definitely.
We're at least going to finish this show.
This one episode is going to finish at some point.
Please, can we finish now? I have to go home and accept a package.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, goodbye.
Bye, everybody.